KIMT News 3. Iowa, Minnesota, together. This is KIMT News 3 at 6.
The alleged shooter in an Austin drive-by has entered a plea of not guilty. We'll have more on that story in just a moment.
First, though, tonight we now know what killed a popular Austin doctor over the weekend. Richard Schindler was found dead along a bike path near Riverland Community College. The Mower County coroner tells the Star Tribune that Schindler was killed instantly when he fell from a bike and broke his neck.
In other news tonight, Charter Communications is launching a hiring drive in Rochester. 250 positions need to be filled by the end of 2015. The company says they're looking for computer and internet savvy candidates for technical support, field technician, and management jobs. To fill all these openings, Charter will hold an employment fair October 29th at the Rochester International Events Center. Well, 1 year and $20 million later, one of North Iowa's biorefineries is celebrating a major renovation.
We were there for a ribbon cutting for some major facility upgrades, making use of even more materials to produce biodiesel. KIMT News 3's Levi Ismail joins us live from REG's plant in Mason City with more on the upgrades. Levi?
Matt and Sarah, it was an exciting time for everyone that was involved in making this project that you see behind me a possibility. The REG group is new to the Mason City area, but has already made a major impact by converting low-cost materials into high-energy efficient biofuels.
Today, we are celebrating and confirming the successful completion of upgrades at REG Mason City.
It didn't take long for the Renewable Energy Group, or REG, to make good on their promise to invest even more into the Mason City community, this time in the form of a more than $20 million project.
We're happy to be here. We think we've delivered on our promise to invest and create a great business. And today, even just the great community and showing proves that that was the right choice for us.
The upgrades now allow the Mason City facility to utilize even more materials for biofuels that might otherwise just go to waste.
When you think about things like inedible corn oil, oils that come out of the back end of ethanol plants and are not fit for human consumption, we're one of the companies that uses more of that than anyone. Same thing with choice white grease or pig fat or tallow coming out of cattle.
While any biofuels company can tout its contributions to energy security and the environment, the biggest benefit for our area may be providing jobs for the community they serve.
We celebrate all these jobs that have been created and saved, and we have an enhanced market for locally produced commodities, and that is significant.
We're also bringing a lot of social goods, so we're helping with food security, reinforcing agriculture, creating jobs, helping with energy diversity and security.
Whether it's biodiesel, solar, or wind energy, Minnesota and Iowa are ranking high in their efforts for renewable energy. The American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy is ranking both Iowa and Minnesota in its top 15 states for the second year in a row. The study takes into consideration the amount of alternative fuels, utility programs offered to customers, building energy codes being met, and a variety of natural resources made available.
The investments over time the state has made, local communities and our investors are starting to pay off, and it's long-term and very valuable to see agriculture, chemicals, and energy all coming together. We're going to keep seeing this.
The report now also suggests that even more states are taking this renewable energy project and making it a priority, considering President Obama's speech that he made back in 2013 through his initiative. In this initiative, they're asking that, well, President Obama is asking that he will make sure that energy is cut, or energy waste is cut in half by the next 2 decades.
All right, thank you, Levi. REG was awarded $2.5 million from the Iowa Economic Development Authority and Mason City for the project. The plant is employing as many as 30 full-time workers in the area. An alleged gunman in an Austin drive-by is pleading not guilty to a charge of attempted murder. Police say 28-year-old Tyrone Price shot 38-year-old Tyrone Maddox at the Whittier Place townhomes on September 16th. Price will face a jury trial now in April.
2 people were taken to the hospital following a crash this afternoon in Cerro Gordo County. Here's video from that scene. Authorities say a silver car veered into the path of the pickup, which ended up in the ditch and then caught fire. No word yet on the extent of any injuries there. Another day closer to the election, another visit from a candidate. Republican Jim Hagedorn is running against incumbent Tim Walz from Minnesota's 1st District, and he is talking about border security and terrorism today, and says the congressman's policy regarding, Walz says the congressman's policy regarding these issues is reckless. KIMT News 3's Dee Dee Seepin was there, and she joins us in the newsroom with more. Dee Dee.
Sarah, Jim Hagedorn says the federal government has a responsibility to protect the United States and claims that Tim Walz's policy supports relocating prisoners from Guantanamo Bay to southern Minnesota. Hagedorn says President Obama wants to take executive action to close Guantanamo, which houses several dangerous criminals. He says Tim Walz is open to transferring those prisoners to the Federal Medical Center in Rochester. Hagedorn says he believes the best way to protect the people of southern Minnesota is to keep terrorists out of the country and not bring them to Rochester.
First of all, he has voted to close the Guantanamo Bay prison in Cuba and bring those prisoners into the United States. But he also has an additional policy, and that is he's open to bringing those prisoners right here to Rochester and housing them at the federal medical facility.
Now, we did reach out to Congressman Walz, and his campaign manager released a statement saying in part that Hagedorn has, quote, zero credibility on national security issues. Sarah?
All right. Thanks, Dee, for that report. And we'll have more on the press conference and Congressman Walz's reaction coming up tonight after the game. Well, I know it's something that we all are looking forward to, seeing that solar eclipse. I know we talked about it a little earlier. You got to see it, I think, right?
I got to see what Adam and Amy did to show everybody how to view this safely.
Okay.
It can be pretty dangerous.
Yeah, be careful.
You don't want to look at the sun, even if it's blocked by the moon, I guess.
Yeah.
Chief Meteorologist Adam Frederick is over in the Storm Team 3 Forecast Center. You had a lot of good advice for us today.
Well, thank you. You know, it's one of those things where a solar eclipse is no more dangerous than just looking at the sun at any time, but usually you don't have a reason to look at the sun, and so that's why it's considered to be a little bit more dangerous because more people are trying to look at the sun. When we take a look and see what's happening, this is one way we can do it safely on our Clear Lake live eye in the sky. And while our camera's having a hard time detecting exactly the solar eclipse just because it's so bright, you can see in that lens flare just off to the bottom left of the sun, you can see how that is. I'm just going to close the iris a little bit so you'll be able to see a little bit of that. Look at the top of the sun there. Before it goes black, the top of the sun is showing just a little bit of that solar eclipse that's going on. Now, our Stone through line side, Mason City is 63 degrees, and we do have a dense fog advisory for the counties in the eastern portion of our viewing area, east of I-35, because of more dense fog tonight. I'll talk more about that fog chance as well as warmer air coming up a little bit.
All right, thank you, Adam. Despite some possible delays, work on a new fire station keeps moving right along. This is a look at the construction site near Century High School in Rochester. Crews broke ground on the nearly $9 million station in May. The fire department decided on this change because one of the current stations was built in the 1950s, but some developments could have really put a damper on that project.
We had some property acquisition issues that put us behind about 2 to 4 weeks. Fortunately for us, the construction crews on site with the positive weather that we've had and then also their efforts have been able to get us back on time.
Swisher says the department is hoping to open the new station during the first quarter of 2015.
Local firefighters have another reminder out there for us when it comes to leaves in our yards. While there are plenty of things you can do with them, burning them inside many local city limits is not one of them. KIMT News 3's Jaron Rennie joins us live in Albert Lee with more. Jaron.
Sarah, if your yard looks like one of these here in Albert Lee, one of the simplest options is leaving them alone. Leaving the leaves alone or mowing them up into smaller pieces can act as good fertilizer for your grass. If that's not your thing, many cities, including Albert Lee, offer landfills to take the leaves to for a small fee. But if you're in Rochester, Albert Lee, Mason City, or Austin, you are not allowed to burn them.
The fire itself can lift things off the ground, and it can send those burning embers towards other structures, buildings, things like that could ignite them and burn those buildings.
He says if you do burn leaves, you could face financial risk. One of them is the penalty for burning illegally. The other is burning your house or someone else's down. Sarah?
Yeah, something you definitely want to avoid. Thanks, Jaron. And if you do have any questions about burning in your area, you're encouraged to contact your local fire department to get some more information.
A preservation specialist is in our area to talk to those interested in preserving local history. Rudy Christian has been working across Iowa on preserving and repairing historic buildings. He's in Osage to talk to those who want to preserve the Cedar Valley Seminary building. It's an old schoolhouse.
It's a very good idea to take care of historic buildings, but they can't take care of themselves. And that's probably the most important message that I like to give people. And when I meet people who realize that, realize the importance of it, and then asked me to help them in doing something about it. To me, that's a real reward.
And he'll be touring the Cedar Valley Seminary coming up tomorrow. Well, attention, mentors are needed for an upcoming science fair.
Adults are being asked to help with those science fair projects. We'll have more details on how you can get involved coming up after the break. And coming up after the game tonight, a new program is being considered in Iowa that could help those who fear having their address become public knowledge. Plus, fluctuating gas prices are worrying some economists. We'll speak with a local expert who says there's nothing to fear. But more on those stories after the game.
You are watching KIMT News 3 at 6. Iowa, Minnesota together.
Science fairs are a lot of fun for many students, but others might struggle without help from an adult. That's why some in Austin are working toward a science mentor program. Adults around the community can help 3rd or 4th grade students at Nevlin and Sumner Elementaries with their upcoming projects. The idea comes from a Riverland Community College chemistry teacher who helps judge the science fairs each year.
I discovered there were always a few kids that they could tell you what they did and how they did it and what the results were. But if you asked them anything about tying the results to the concept that their experiment talked about, you got deer in headlights kind of response.
Mentors have to complete orientation and a background check. If you're interested in helping out, you can head to our website, KIMT.com. Click on this story under local news.
Folks in our area got the opportunity today to see if some of their old collectibles were worth anything. The Mower County Historical Society and Hormel Historic Home held an antiques evaluation event at the Austin Public Library today. Mark Morin, who has more than 30 years experience appraising antiques, was on hand to evaluate some pieces. Some items were worth as much as $500.
Most of the people who come to my programs aren't really interested in the value. They just want to know if the story they've heard all their lives about, you know, Aunt Martha's lamp or Uncle Henry's rocker. They just want to know if the story that they've heard is true.
And I'll be holding some more programs in our area. To find out where he'll be next, check out our website, KIMT.com. You can find the story under local news.
We are going to be seeing more sunshine across the region. Fairly warm weekend in store. I'll show you just how warm in your full Storm Day forecast. Our storm 3 live at Leroy Trainer School, 52 degrees of the current temperature, with the wind really fairly calm right now, and we are seeing, or we did see about 24/100 of an inch of rain earlier for today. While we take a look outside right now on our live eye in the sky in Charles City, the sun is setting across our viewing area, and we will be seeing clear skies at least for a while until that fog ends up setting in. You can see we do have a dense fog advisory for the counties along and east of I-35, and that's the way things are going to be staying. Dense fog into tomorrow morning. The skies will be clearing out a little bit into tomorrow afternoon, at least for some. We'll take a look at your skycast coming up in just a moment. As far as your weather almanac today goes, high temperatures made their way into the mid to upper 60s for the most part, but we still had a few places, especially the farther east that you went. We had a few holdouts because of the extra cloud cover that just lingered around, with Charles City at 57, Rochester we're at 58 degrees. Overnight low temperatures fairly uniform. As far as rainfall, well, there's some of the rainfall numbers on the right-hand side of your screen. Mason City with a little thunderstorm that passed through, 47/100 of an inch. Otherwise, we dropped down to about 17/100 of an inch of rain for Albert Lee. And Charles City a little bit less than that, 16. And then hovering right around 1/4 of an inch was Austin and Rochester. Now, around the region, visible satellite picture shows how we had those persistent clouds in the eastern portion of the viewing area until the sun ends up setting. And we will be seeing those temperatures reflecting that cooler air with the cloud cover, like 49 in Preston to 52 in Decorah. Charles City, we're at 54 still to 60 in Mason City, 63 degrees in Algona. So some nice warm weather for some, but not necessarily for everybody. And that's kind of how things are going to go tomorrow, with who gets stuck in the fog and who ends up seeing more sunshine. Your temperatures across the upper Midwest, really not too bad. Generally mid to upper 60s, even some lower 70s. But there go those rain showers that we saw passing through earlier during the overnight hours. There are more clouds to the west. We'll eventually see a few partly cloudy skies make their way back in. But first, this trough of low pressure is going to pass by. It's going to dissipate as it makes its way through, and then the next low pressure off to the west will bring just a little bit of a change to our weather, nothing significant by any means. Skycast shows that the trough sliding off to the east, and then tonight we'll see that dense fog forming. We'll keep some of that fog around the area for some, and you can see a little bit of that fog actually blowing in possible as we go into the afternoon hours. So a mixture of partly to mostly cloudy skies tomorrow before things end up getting cleared out by that front tomorrow night. Overnight, detailed storm to forecast. Mostly clear. Dense fog possible towards morning, especially east of I-35. Southerly winds 3 to 6 miles per hour. Now for tomorrow, we'll see mostly to partly cloudy skies, some early fog, and it's all going to depend upon exactly who gets stuck underneath some of that fog and who gets that extra sunshine. It'll make about a 5-degree difference or so. We'll see winds become more westerly at 6 to 12 miles per hour, and then tomorrow night, expect to see skies becoming clear. Overnight lows into the upper 40s. West-northwest winds 6 to 11 miles per hour. Your 7-day weather forecast shows partly cloudy skies on Saturday, or mostly sunny on Saturday, partly cloudy skies on Sunday. A few showers possible then on Monday into Tuesday, and then we'll end up seeing temperatures dropping off as well, and overnight lows hovering in the mid-30s. So still, even after temperatures drop, not too bad, but definitely a little bit cooler weather overall.
Yeah, definitely enjoyed the first 4 days, right?
Oh, the weekend looks like it should be pretty beautiful.
Okay, thanks, Adam.
Sounds great. Thank you, Adam. AJ's here now. Only 2 more meets remaining in the cross-country schedule for the year. Today, local runners taking the track, hoping for a shot at state.
District days, a lot of fun because everybody gets to compete. The only bad part, they're spread out all over the place, and they all start pretty close to the 6 o'clock news. Coming up next, we'll head to a Class 1A state qualifier in Nashua to find out who is securing their spot in Fort Dodge. Last night at 10, the West Fork boys cross-country team told us it was a mini state meet. The Warhawks are the #1 team in Class 1A this season. Denver right behind them at #2. Today, both teams in Nashua at a Class 1A state qualifying meet. Let's start with the team race. West Fork's trio of Jacob Hansen, Drew Engelbretts, and Peyton Tweet all in the top 10, but Denver wins the team race. Our best individual finisher, that guy, Connor Smith of North Iowa. We will hear from him and have those final team results after the game. Now let's stay in Nashua, head to the girls' race. More good news for the Warhawks. They have 2 individual qualifiers in the top 10, both with the last name Rowe, Maya and Talia. We'll have an interview with Maya Rowe after her 6th place finish on our late sportscast tonight. Of course, Nashua is not the only place we have local runners in action today. Here's a look at all the events featuring area teams. As soon as we get the final results in, we'll post them to the sports page at KIMT.com. Right now, Osage girls and boys, GHV boys, Charles City boys, Newman girls all going to state. More updates as soon as we get them, hopefully after the game. The Casson Manitoba volleyball team flat out dominated in the regular season, 24-5 their final record. That includes a 16-match winning streak during the middle of their schedule. Tonight, KM opening up their postseason journey as the #2 seed in the Section 1 AA West bracket. That means they get a home game against Triton, a team they beat 3-0 back on September 16th. Playing at home has been a really good thing for the Comets in 2014. They compiled a perfect 7-0 record. We'll have highlights from this match later tonight. Other games we're keeping an eye on tonight include 3 more in Section 1A West. Lyle Pacelli at Blooming Prairie, Randolph at Hayfield, and Southland traveling to Medford. After last weekend's win against Purdue, Jerry Kill now 23-22 as Minnesota's football coach. That's the best record through a coach's first 45 games at the U since the legendary Bernie Bierman, who went 35-6-4 in the mid-1930s. On Saturday, Coach Kill going for his 24th victory with the Gophers in a road game at Illinois. I tell you what, most of Coach Kill's success is coming in the Big Ten, including that victory over the Boilers. Minnesota 7-2 in the last 9 conference games, and they currently sit all alone in first place in the Big Ten West.
It's great to be excited, all those kind of things. Gaining confidence, that's good. Finding ways to win, you know, sometimes you just got to find a way to win, and we did that, but as coaches, the only thing that matters is at the end of the season where you're at.
Up next for the Gophers is only their 3rd road game of the season at Illinois. Minnie has won 4 straight games in Champaign, their last loss way back in October of 2001. The Iowa State wrestling team bringing back talent this winter. 3 All-Americans, 6 NCAA qualifiers, and 2 Big 12 champs have the Cyclones thinking big in Coach Kevin Jackson's 6th year in Ames. Not only do they have top-tier talent returning, they have plenty of experience. 8 of their 10 roster spots back in the room this preseason camp. 6 of those 8 won at least 25 matches last year. The resumes are impressive. The expectations through the roof for the Cardinal and Gold.
And for man, from 125 up to heavyweight, they have to just go out there and lay it on the line. They have to go out there and give 100% effort each and every match. If they do that, we'll take that step for sure.
Here's a look at a few featured dates on Iowa State's calendar this season. Hawkeyes Cyclones, November 29th. Panthers Cyclones, February 15th. Big 12 Championships, March 7th. Thursday Night Football on CBS, KIMT tonight. Broncos Chargers. If you're thinking Broncos in a blowout, remember, Chargers beat the Broncos last year.
They did.
San Diego's a good team.
They did very good. I'm thinking a close game, but maybe a little bit of a letdown after the big record-setting.
That was a high last Sunday night. Quick wrap-up to this Thursday night as well.
We shall see soon. Thanks, AJ. We'll be right back.
Mild weather for tonight, dense fog possible, especially east of I-35 into tomorrow morning, then a mix of sun and clouds tomorrow. It's a really nice weekend ahead of us, though.
No complaints. All right. We'll see you later tonight.